the sound of hunger and fame. It begins not in a kitchen, but in front of a camera. A young woman, eyes bright with hope and hunger, sits alone beneath the quiet hum of artificial light. Before her, a feast not meant for one. Stacked bowls of ramen, sizzling meats, towering sandwiches, a banquet for a digital crowd she cannot see, but desperately wants to please. She pressed the record, and with each bite, each exaggerated crunch, each playful whisper into a microphone tuned for intimacy, the views start climbing. This is mukbang, a phenomenon born in the solitude of South Korea's high-rises, now viral across continents. But while it feeds an audience's need for sound and sensation, it often starves something far more fragile in the creator: balance. You see, behind every click, behind every satisfied subscriber, there's a toll being paid, not in money, but in moments of health, sanity, and sometimes life itself. From loneliness to a stage of excess. Back in 2010, mukbang was something quiet, almost tender. In a world growing louder and lonelier by the day, South Koreans found comfort in a strange but gentle ritual: watching someone eat. Not to be shocked, not to be dazzled, but to feel a little less alone. A man in a small kitchen, a woman sipping soup and smiling into a webcam. They weren't entertainers, they were dinner companions. But like all things touched by the digital world, innocence didn't last. The views came, the sponsors followed. And suddenly, what mattered wasn't the connection, it was the consumption. Bigger plates, louder slurps, colossal servings served with forced smiles and tired eyes. The kindness of company was replaced by the cruelty of competition. And somewhere along the way, the food got colder, and so did the feeling behind the screen. A meal measured in pain. On the surface, it's just dinner. A man smiles, dips into a platter, and devours bite after bite with effortless flair. But the truth lies behind the silence between swallows. The human body, a delicate orchestra of organs, signals, and rhythms, was never meant to endure such extremes. Thousands of calories in one sitting stretch more than the stomach. They stretch the soul thin. Over time, what begins as a performance becomes a burden. The acid burns deeper. The body, once intuitive and forgiving, starts to protest. Heartburn, nausea, dizziness. Still, the camera keeps rolling, because in this world, the algorithm does not wait. And the creator, now part actor, part martyr, learns to smile through the discomfort. They stop eating for need, or even for pleasure. They eat for applause, for relevance, for survival on a platform that never sleeps. And when that happens, food is no longer nourishment. It becomes noise, feasting on the edge of a breakdown. The physical effects of mukbang are serious, but the mental impact can be even deeper. Many creators start out with excitement and fun, but slowly, things change. They feel pressure to keep eating more, to post more often, and to meet the expectations of their growing audience. This can lead to anxiety, low self-esteem, and eating disorders like binge eating or purging. Some begin to see food not as something to enjoy, but as a challenge to defeat. And when the camera turns off, they're often left feeling empty, not just in their stomachs, but in their minds. They may try to eat less during the day to prepare for filming, which creates an unhealthy cycle of restriction followed by excess. Over time, this pattern can harm their mental health. It's hard to be honest about these struggles when the internet rewards the opposite: big smiles, bigger meals, and the illusion that everything is just fine. The eyes that feed the fire. You may wonder, why do so many watch? Why do millions sit in silence, eyes glued to a stranger devouring mountains of food? The answer, like most truths, is layered. For some, it's quiet. The soft tap of chopsticks, the rhythm of bites, the illusion of company in an otherwise empty room. For others, it's a fantasy, the joy of indulgence without consequence, a way to taste something through someone else's screen. But the deeper pull is the escape. Life, with all its sharp edges and unfinished questions, pauses when you watch someone eat without hesitation. No guilt, no talk of calories, just pure, primal satisfaction. It numbs the noise, if only for a moment. But in that comfort lies a cost. For every craving soothed, another expectation is set. And with each click, each view, we unknowingly help build a stage where someone else must suffer to keep us company. The virus called fame. Viral. It's a word that once meant sickness, now it means success. One video breaks the internet, and just like that, the creator becomes something more than a person. They become a brand. But what begins as triumph quickly twists into torment, because once you've given the world a show, the world demands an encore, and the next one has to be bigger, messier, louder. A feast becomes a stunt, a bite becomes a dare, and hunger is no longer for food, it's for relevance, for attention, for that dopamine rush that only numbers can give. But here's the truth, most won't say. Viral isn't a ladder you climb, it's a wave you ride until it throws you. And many creators, bloated with expectation and drained of joy, crash into the silence that follows the applause. Because in the end, the internet never stays hungry for long. It always moves on, leaving the performer behind. The body keeps the receipt. There comes a point when the body stops asking and starts warning. The digestion slows. The heart beats a little louder after each meal. The joints ache, not from age, but from weight it was never meant to carry. And though the camera may hide the sweat, the bloating, the fatigue behind filters and smiles, the body doesn't forget. Every bite, every binge, every forced swallow becomes a note in a growing ledger. The liver whispers, the blood thickens, the heart strains, and still the content rolls on. Some try to fix it, fasting in the morning, running at night, pretending balance exists where none truly does. But the truth is simple. You cannot out-edit biology. You cannot hashtag your way out of damage, because in the quiet hours, when the lights go out and the screen goes dark, the body is still there, keeping count, waiting for its due. The gentle ones in a loud world. Not every plate is a battlefield. Not every mukbang is a cry for clicks. Somewhere in the noise, a few quiet voices remain. Creators who cook with care, eat with grace, and speak not to impress, but to connect. They share their culture. They share their recipes. They eat just enough. They don't chase the algorithm. They don't pretend hunger when there is none. And though their subscriber count may grow slower, their spirit doesn't fade. It takes courage to go against the current, to serve honesty in a world that demands spectacle. But these gentle ones, they remind us of something precious, that food is not a stunt. It's a story. It's a memory. It's medicine. And when the table is set with intention, even the camera can't take that away. The challenge is holding on to that truth in a space where louder always seems to win. The echo after applause. Fame, especially the digital kind, has a way of vanishing without saying goodbye. One day the comments flood in. The next, silence. The camera's still there, the plate's still full, but the eyes that once watched with awe have moved on to the next big thing. And for the mukbang creator left behind, the quiet is deafening. They gave their hunger, their health, their hours, all to keep the crowd entertained. But the crowd has left the theater. What remains is a person, worn down, uncertain, still recovering from the show they once performed daily. They try to pivot, they try to rest, but algorithms don't reward recovery, they reward extremes. And so many creators, once stars of the feast, now sit alone at a table built on pressure, wondering who they are when no one's watching, and hoping that healing is still possible, even without applause. What we choose to see. But in the end, the story isn't just about food, or fame, or the person on screen. It's about us, the watchers. The silent crowd behind every click, every view, every rising metric. We may think our attention is harmless, just another video, just another scroll. But what we choose to see shapes what survives. When we cheer for excess, we feed the fire. When we reward moderation, we plant a seed. The internet is a mirror, and every like, every share, every moment of curiosity reflects what we value. So perhaps the real question is not why do they keep eating, but why do we keep watching? And in that quiet moment, as you hover over the next thumbnail, you hold more power than you realize. Because the future of content isn't made by creators alone, it's made by the choices we make, one view at a time.